Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with me, your host, Rosa DeCandia. So nice to have you back where you belong. Well, my friends, we are going to be reading another little famous fairy tale that you're going to know as soon as I tell you in a little bit. And I did not know this version, and I do like this version. I did read it for the podcast. So we're going to go with this one, and I'm so excited. And I hope you're enjoying this kind of fairy tale theater stuff that's happening, all the dark and twisted tales. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get back to Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales by the Brothers Grimm. This week we will be reading Little Snow White. Once upon a time in the middle of winter, when the flakes of snow were falling like feathers from the sky, a queen sat at a window sewing, and the frame of the window was made of black ebony. And while she was sewing and looking out of the window at the snow, she pricked her finger with the needle, and 3 drops of blood fell upon the snow, and the red looked pretty upon the white snow. And she thought to herself, if only I had a child as white as snow, as red as blood, and as black as the wood of the window frame. Well, that's quite specific. I guess when you want to manifest, they do say to be very specific when you want to manifest. So she's being very specific. I like that. It's very poetic. Soon after that, she had a little daughter who was as white as snow and as red as blood, and her hair was black as ebony, and she was therefore called Little Snow White. And when the child was born, the queen died. No one talks about that. Giving birth is a very, very dangerous situation, and people take it for granted. Women still die in childbirth, my friends. So let's give it up for women that are pregnant and then do the childbirthing thing. I've never had a child. It's never been my dream, but I give kudos to anybody who's had a child. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. And I give kudos to anybody who's a mother on every other level, okay? Kudos to everybody who's a mother, but not a motherfucker. You know what I'm talking about. Okay. After a year had passed, the king took another wife. Oh, great. Here we go. Another step monster. Also, men usually get married very quickly after they become widowed. For a woman, not so quick, but we're not going to go on that whole tear. She was a beautiful woman, but proud and haughty, and she could not bear that anyone else should surpass her in beauty. She had a wonderful looking glass, and when she stood in front of it and looked at herself in it and said, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? The looking glass answered, you, O queen, are the fairest of all. Then she was satisfied, for she knew that the looking glass spoke the truth. You know, that's the truth. It's like a picture paints 1,000 words, so does the mirror. The mirror tells you what you need to see, honey, sometimes, but you also gotta have the right eyesight to see, you know what I mean, the right perspective. All right, let's get a little too deep. But Snow White was growing up and grew more and more beautiful. And when she was 7 years old, she was as beautiful as the day and more beautiful than the queen herself. And once when the queen asked her looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? It answered, you are fairer than all who are here, Lady Queen, but more beautiful still is Snow White, as I ween. Oh shit, a 7-year-old is more beautiful than this very vain woman who probably takes so much care of herself. But you see, you know what? There's always going to be somebody more beautiful than you. So stop being so concerned with what you look like and all the external shit. There's always going to be somebody that has a better body than you, better hair, better eyes, better teeth, better whatever. And I just say, worry about the good stuff inside, because that's what's going to stick with you forever. Okay. Then the queen was shocked and turned yellow and green with envy. From that time, whenever she looked at Snow White, her heart heaved in her breast. She hated the girl so much. See, bad feelings. And Envy and pride grew higher and higher in her heart like a weed, so that she had no peace day or night. You see, she was being eaten up by that dark feeling. See, it's terrible. She called a hunter and said, "Take the child away into the forest. I will no longer have her in my sight. Kill her and bring me back her heart as a token." Jesus Christ, everybody wants a token. It's a heart, a pair of eyes, whatever. The hunter obeyed and took her away. But when he had drawn his knife and was about to pierce Snow White's innocent heart, she began to weep and said, "Ah, dear hunter, spare me my life. I will run away into the wild forest and never come home again." And she was so beautiful that the hunter had pity on her and said, "Run away then, you poor child. The wild beast will soon devour you," thought he, and yet it seemed as if a stone had been rolled from his heart, since he no longer needed to kill her. Really? You knew that you should have killed the child after you looked into her beautiful face? You should have said, "Bitchy poo, witchy poo, bitch step monster, I'm not killing the 7-year-old. But whatever, he could have brought her somewhere else, but I ain't gonna say nothing. And as a young boar just then came running by, he stabbed it and cut out its heart and took it to the queen as proof that the child was dead. The cook had to salt this, and the wicked queen ate it. Ew! And thought she had eaten the heart of Snow White. Ew! 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 That's even stupefied me. That's dark. That's some dark shit right there. She is eating the heart of a child. Okay, honey? Okay? Okay, so I'm going to say, this I'm glad is not in the Disney version. But now the poor child was all alone in the great forest, and so terrified that she looked at every leaf of every tree and did not know what to do. Then she began to run and ran over sharp stones and through thorns, and the wild beast ran past her, but did her no harm. See, because she was protected. She was protected, right? And she was innocent and naive and beautiful. She ran as far as her feet would go until it was almost evening. Then she saw a little cottage and went into it to rest. Everything in the cottage was small, but neater and cleaner than you can imagine. There was a table on which was a white cover and 7 little plates, and on each plate a little spoon. Moreover, there were 7 little knives and forks and 7 little mugs. Against the wall stood 7 little beds side by side and covered with snow white bedspreads. So we can assume there's 7 people living there. Hello, the 7 dwarfs. Little Snow White was so hungry and thirsty that she ate some vegetables and bread from each plate. That's smart. And drank a drop of wine out of each mug, for she did not wish to take all from only one. She's even thoughtful enough to know, like, let me take a little bit from one each, and I will have a full plate for myself, and no one's gonna miss it. She's a smart little bitch, that Snow White. Okay, Snow bitch, you go, girl. All right, I like a smart little one. She's not only beautiful, but she's smart and she's kind, and we know she's kind. Okay. Then, as she was so tired, she laid herself down in each of the little beds, but none of them suited her. One was too long, another too short, but at last she found that the 7th one was right, and so she remained in it, said a prayer, and went to sleep. It's like Goldilocks, right, with the 3 bears. Say a little prayer for you. Okay. When it was quite dark, the owners of the cottage came back. They were 7 dwarfs who dug and delved in the mountains for ore. They lit their 7 candles, and now that the cottage was lit, they saw that someone had been there, for everything was not in the same order in which they had left it. Did you ever have that happen to you? You leave your apartment or your house, and you feel like you've left something a certain way, and then it looks like it was moved? Did it ever happen? Oh, look at that, dark and twisted Rosie. This is the tales of Rosie D. The first said, "Who has been sitting in my chair?" The second, "Who has been eating off my plate?" The third, "Who has been taking some of my bread?" The fourth, "Who has been eating my vegetables?" The fifth, "Who has been using my fork?" The sixth, "Who has been cutting with my knife?" The seventh, "Who has been drinking out of my mug?" Okay, he noticed that his wine was gone. He must have been the Italian one. Then the first looked round and saw that there was a little hole on his bed, and he said, "Who has been getting into my bed?" The others came up and each called out, "Somebody has been lying in my bed too." But the 7th, when he looked at his bed, saw little Snow White, who was lying asleep in it, and he called the others, who came running up, and they cried out with astonishment and brought their 7 little candles and let the light fall on little Snow White. Oh, there must have been really good lighting, because candlelight always makes you look good. Yeah, it's all about the lighting, okay? Oh, heavens, cried they. what a lovely child. And they were so glad that they did not wake her up, but let her sleep in the bed. And the seventh dwarf slept with his companions 1 hour with each, and so got through the night. They're very smart and resourceful and efficient, these people. When it was morning, little Snow White awoke and was frightened when she saw the seven dwarfs. But they were friendly and asked her what her name was. "My name is Snow White," she answered. "How have you come to our house?" said the dwarfs. Then she told them that her stepmother had wished to have her killed, but that the hunter had spared her life, and that she had run from the whole day until at last she had found their dwelling. The dwarf said, "If you will take care of our home, cook, make the beds, wash, sew, and knit, and if you will keep everything neat and clean, you can stay with us and you shall want for nothing." Great, 3 hearts and a cot. She just got to do the housework. She's kind of like Wendy Bird, right? Wendy from Peter Pan, doing all the housework. You know what I mean? Taking care of business, kind of like every other little girl. But hey, she's getting a free home and she's going to have 7 little fathers taking care of her, which is always nice. Okay. "Yes," said Snow White, "with all my heart." And she stayed with them. She kept the house in order for them. In the mornings, they went to the mountains and looked for copper and gold. In the evenings, they came back, and then their supper had to be ready. The girl was all alone the whole day, so the good dwarfs warned her and said, "Beware of your stepmother. She will soon know that you are here, but sure to let no one come in." Okay, there's our first warning. But the queen, believing that she had eaten Snow White's heart, was certain that she was again the first and most beautiful of all. And she went to her looking glass and said, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all?" And the glass answered, "O queen, you are fairest of all I see. But over the hills where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and none is so fair as she." Oh, wouldn't that be funny? He gives it like snaps, like, oh queen, yeah, okay. Then she was astounded, for she knew that the looking glass never spoke falsely, and she knew that the hunter had betrayed her, and that little Snow White was still alive. And so she thought, and thought again, how she might kill her. For so long as she was not the fairest in the whole land, envy let her have no rest. My God, what a terrible thing to have, to be so fucking vain that you want to kill a child. I mean, let's be honest, people. Maybe people aren't doing that today, but people are doing some strange shit for their vanity. Yeah, it's not pretty. Not pretty at all, that's all I'm going to say. So you know what I'm saying? Let's not be so consumed with the external. It's okay to, take care of yourself inside and out. But the inside is more important, because that's what the world is really going to see in the end. And when she had at last thought of something to do, she painted her face and dressed herself like an old peddler, and no one could have known her. In this disguise, she went over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarfs and knocked at the door and cried, "Pretty things to sell, very cheap, very cheap." Little Snow White looked out the window and called out, "Good day, my good woman. What have you to sell?" "Good things, pretty things," she answered, "laces of all colors." And she pulled out one which was woven of bright colored silk. "I may let the worthy old woman in," thought Snow White, and she unbolted the door and bought the pretty laces. "Child," said the old woman, "what a fright you look. Come, I will lace you properly for once." Of course, women had to get laced because it's the whole bodice thing to look skinny and stuff. Jesus, she's 7 years old and she's wearing a bodice, but I think she's a little older now. Snow White had no suspicion, but stood before her and let herself be laced with the new laces. But the old woman laced so quickly and so tightly that Snow White lost her breath and fell down as if dead. "Now I am the most beautiful," said the queen to herself, and ran away. Not long afterwards, in the evening, the 7 dwarfs came home, but were shocked that they saw their dear little Snow White lying on the ground, that she neither stirred nor moved, and seemed to be dead. They lifted her up, and as they saw that she was laced so tightly, they cut the laces, and then she began to breathe a little. Breathe again, and I shall never breathe again." That's an old song that I used to love by Toni Braxton. And after a while, came to life again. When the dwarfs heard what had happened, they said, "The old peddler was none other than your wicked queen. Take care and let no one come in here when we are not with you." Second warning, second time. But The wicked woman, when she had reached home, went in front of the glass and asked, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? And it answered, as before, O Queen, you are fairest of all I see. But over the hills where the seven dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and none is so fair as she. When she heard that, all her blood rushed to her heart with fear, for she saw plainly that little Snow White was alive again. But now, she said, I will think of something that shall put an end to you. And by the help of witchcraft, which she understood, she made a poisonous comb. Then she disguised herself and took the shape of another old woman. I have a question which I forgot to ask before. Where the fuck is the father in all this? He marries her. We don't even hear that he dies. Then it's just all about the beauty. Is he not searching for his 7-year-old daughter? Is he not concerned, or did he die and they just let that fact fly? Because I think in the book, they say the father soon after passes. So my question is this: why did the Brothers Grimm mention the father? I'm confused, Brothers Grimm. That's a fact you should have added, because right now I'm having no respect for the father. Where does he think his daughter is? He's the king. He's not sending out search parties for her? I have that question. Okay. Fathers don't fare so well in these stories. I'm going to be honest. They don't. The stepmothers don't, and neither do most of the fathers. Most. But where was I? Okay, so she went over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarfs, knocked at the door and cried, good things to sell, cheap, cheap. Little Snow White looked out and said, go away, I cannot let anyone come in. I suppose you can look, said the old woman, and pulled the poisonous comb out and held it up. It pleased the girl so well that she let herself be fooled, a gavolt, and opened the door. Maybe Snow White's not so smart. When they had struck a bargain, the old woman said, now I will comb you properly for once. Poor little Snow White had no suspicion, and let the old woman do as she had pleased. But hardly had she put the comb in her hair than the poison in it took effect, and the girl fell down senseless. You paragon of beauty, said the wicked woman, you are done for good. And she went away. But fortunately, it was almost evening when the 7 dwarfs came home. When they saw Snow White lying as if dead upon the ground, they at once suspected the stepmother. Thank God they're smart. And they looked and found the poisoned comb. Scarcely had they taken it out when Snow White came to and told them what had happened. Then they warned her once more to be upon her guard and to open the door to no one. 3rd time, the queen at home went in front of the glass and said, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? Then it answered as before, O Queen, you are fairest of all I see. But over the hills where the 7 dwarfs dwell, Snow White is still alive and well, and none is so fair as she. When she heard the glass speak, she trembled and shook with rage. Snow White shall die, she cried, even if it costs me my life. Careful what you say, careful what you wish for. You know they say that all the time. Careful what you wish for, you might just get it. So she's put it out in motion that Snow White's going to die, even if it costs her life. Let's keep that in our memory bank. It's like a little foreshadowing. Okay. With that, she went into a quiet, secret, lonely room where no one ever came. And there she made a very poisonous apple. Good Lord. Outside it looked pretty, white with a red cheek, so that everyone who saw it longed for it. But whoever ate a piece of it must surely die. When the apple was ready, she painted her face and dressed herself up as a countrywoman. And so she went out over the 7 mountains to the 7 dwarfs. She knocked at the door. Snow White put her head out of the window and said, I cannot let anyone in. The 7 dwarfs have forbidden me. Okay, Snow White, what's going to happen next? It is all the same to me, answered the woman. I shall soon get rid of my apples. Here, I will give you one. No, said Snow White, I dare not take anything. Are you afraid of poison, said the old woman. Look, I will cut the apple in 2 pieces. You eat the red cheek and I will eat the white. She poses a good point. The apple was so cunningly made that only the red cheek was poisoned. That's a smart bitch. That witch is a smart bitch. Snow White longed for the fine apple, and when she saw that the woman ate part of it, she could resist no longer, and stretched out her hand and took the poisonous half. But hardly had she taken a bite than she fell down dead. Then the queen looked at her with a dreadful look and laughed aloud and said, "White as snow, red as blood, black as ebony wood, this time the dwarfs cannot wake you up again." And when she asked the looking glass at home, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? It answered at last, "O queen, in this land you are fairest of all." Then her envious heart had rest. Thank God, so far as an envious heart can have rest. Exactly. We've talked about jealousy and envy. The dwarfs, when they came home in the evening, found Snow White lying upon the ground. She breathed no longer and was dead. They lifted her up, looked to see whether they could find anything poisonous, unlaced her, combed her hair, washed her with water and wine. Why washing her with wine? Is that like antiseptic? I mean, I guess like they used to use whiskey and scotch and shit, right? To like clean a wound. Yeah, it's alcohol. Okay. But it was all of no use. The poor child was dead and remained dead. They laid her upon a bier, and all 7 of them sat round it and wept for her, and wept 3 days long. Just like a wake. Then they were going to bury her. But she still looked as if she were alive and still had a pretty red cheeks. They said, "We could not bury her in the dark ground." And they had a transparent coffin of glass made so that she could be seen from all sides. Oh my God, it's like the Pokemobile. And they laid her in it, and in golden letters wrote upon it her name, and that she was a king's daughter. Where is the king? No one's mentioning where the fucking king is. Is he dead or alive? Dead or alive? That's what I want to know. Oh my God. Wanted dead or alive, if I live without you. No, it's not wanted dead or alive. Okay. Wanted dead or alive. Boy, am I going off on singing tangents. Then they put the coffin out upon the mountain, and one of them always stayed by it and watched it. Oh, it's like having a guard. It's like the changing of the guards, you know, when they have at the palace in London. Or whatever, Buckingham Palace. And birds came too and wept for Snow White. First an owl, then a raven, and last a dove. Aww. And now Snow White lay a long time in the coffin, and she did not change, but looked as if she were asleep. For she was as white as snow, as red as blood, and her hair was as black as ebony. The bitch didn't age. That's not a bad thing. I mean, she's dead. She didn't age. It happened, however, that a king's son came into the forest and went to the dwarf's house to spend the night. He saw the coffin on the mountain and the beautiful Snow White inside it, and read what was written upon it in golden letters. Then he said to the dwarfs, "Let me have the coffin. I will give you whatever you want for it." I love that. Let me have the coffin. I will give you whatever you want for it. It's like, But the dwarfs answered, "We will not part with it for all the gold in the world." Then he said, "Let me have it as a gift, for I cannot live without seeing Snow White. I will honor and prize her as my dearest possession." As he spoke in this way, the good dwarfs took pity upon him and gave him the coffin. Oh my God, all he had to do was ask, and ask as a gift. See, ask and he shall receive, because they knew he was going to love Snow White, right? And now the king's son had it carried away by his servants on their shoulders. And it happened that they stumbled over a tree stump, and with the shock, the poisonous piece of apple, which Snow White had bitten off, came out of her throat. It's like the Heimlich maneuver. All she needed was a Heimlich maneuver. That's kind of funny. And before long, she opened her eyes, lifted up the lid of the coffin, sat up, and was once more alive. "Oh, heavens! Where am I?" she cried. The king's son, full of joy, said, "You are with me." And I'd be like, "Who the fuck are you?" I mean, we're the 7 dwarfs. Anyway, and told her what had happened and said, "I love you more than everything in the world. Come with me to my father's palace. You shall be my wife." And Snow White was willing. Oh my God, and she went with him. Stranger danger? We have no stranger danger. She didn't say, "Let me go talk to the dwarfs. I don't really know you. I don't know what you're going to do with me. I've already had some bad luck with royalty. My stepmonster was not the kindest woman, and you're this king that offered to take me in a coffin thinking I was dead, and now you want me to marry you?" And I say yes. to that prospect? I don't know. Stranger danger. She didn't know about that. But then once again, Snow White is not the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay, I'm going to go back. And Snow White was willing and went with him. And their wedding was held with great show and splendor. But Snow White's wicked stepmother was also invited to the feast. We don't hear about her father. He must be dead. I know I'm dwelling on it, but I need to know. How will I know if he really loves her? I don't know. Anyway, okay. When she had dressed herself in beautiful clothes, she went before the looking glass and said, looking glass on the wall, who in this land is the fairest of all? The glass answered, O queen, of all here the fairest is you, but the young queen is fairer by far, it is true. Da-da-da-da. Then the wicked woman uttered a curse and was so miserable, so utterly miserable, that she knew not what to do. At first, she would not go to the wedding at all, but she had no peace and must go to see the young queen. And when she went in, she knew Snow White, and she stood still with rage and fear and could not stir. But iron slippers had already been put upon the fire, and they were brought in with tongs and set before her. Then she was forced to put on the red-hot shoes and dance until she dropped down dead. Fuck. The end. Totally not like the Disney movie. Yeah, the stepmother gets it in the end and she falls off a cliff. But, well, they put iron slippers on her and she drops dead, literally drops dead from dancing too much with red hot shoes. Okay. But I do have to say, I enjoy this version of Snow White. It's so dark. I love it. The laces, the comb. It's like all about vanity, right? And then the apple. The apple's the big thing in the actual movie. But, oh my God, such a good story. I think I chose this because, I mean, I didn't read it beforehand, but when I read it, I was like, all right, I got to do a couple of ones that are well known. So anyway, Little Snow White, packing the punch. Let's talk about the fact of the evil queen, that she was so enveloped with envy and like that envy and jealousy that's all she saw. She couldn't be happy. She couldn't rest. All she did was concern herself with her outer appearance. And, you know, listen, I take care of myself too, so it's not like I'm sitting here saying, okay, don't take care of yourself. But when you make your outer appearance every fucking thing and everything that gives you joy, whether it's your body, your face, your hair, your teeth, your eyes, your this, and that's all you think you're worth, and that's all you put your worth on, that's all you like actually take care of is what you look like on the outside, and you're not feeding the good stuff inside. Honestly, my friends, what happens? Beauty fades. I know there's plastic surgery and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, plastic surgery, you never know what you're going to end up looking like. And not that I'm against it. I don't want to go on that whole tear. But I think too many people are so consumed with looking like a certain Snapchat filter or looking like a certain stars on TV, whatever, that they get dysmorphic. And I get it's a syndrome, so it's a dysmorphic thing. And I understand that too. So I'm not making light of that situation. But for all of us, when we pride ourselves, and our vanity is one of the things we pride ourselves, you have a price to pay for it because you're never going to be happy. Remember, listen, you take care of yourself and what you got the way you need to take care of yourself. If you feel like you want to have pink hair, blonde hair, dark hair, you want to put makeup on. I love makeup. I've always loved makeup since I was 13. My mother doesn't wear makeup. I do. It's something I love. I love fashion. Those are things I love, but it doesn't drive me or fuel me into the fact that I'm not taking care of my spiritual self, my inner self. That's why I'm doing these videos and using these chapters as tools. So I think it's important to note now whether you are worried about the external, but also having envy about like someone having more money than you or more success than you. We talked about it when you're looking at other people to use a barometer of your worth. You're never going to be happy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is a very famous saying and I don't remember who said it, and it may just be anonymous said it. Comparison is the thief of joy. So stop looking at others, what they look like, what they have, because it does not make a difference. Work on your damn self. And I also think it's important that when you are inherently good and you work on your inner qualities, being kind, having empathy, being compassionate, being honest, being truthful, being of integrity, being loving, being genuinely a nice person, that is the light. That's the beauty that does come out. And I think it's important for all of us to take stock of ourselves and say, where are my priorities? Once again, you are a human being, right? This is your shell. As you take care of what you feed yourself and your health, and you move, you do exercise, and you read, and you take care of your intelligence, your mind, your spirit, you read things, you're taking care of things. Maybe you go to church or you attend spiritual things, whatever you do for yourself spiritually. And it doesn't even have to be spiritual practice. It could be meditation. It could be whatever it is. But you take care of your body. I think it's very important, of course, because it's the temple to which you will reside, right? This is your essence. Your essence is being held in this temple. But once we make the temple, just like you go to certain temples that they're all laden with gold and they're all over, and you're like, why does this church or why does this temple need all this stuff just when people could melt down the gold and help people, right? Same thing with us. There's nothing wrong with taking care of yourself. It's very important because this is the body you're walking in this lifetime. However, when you make it the vehicle of, this is all I'm about, this is all, it's my pride, it's my vanity, the day is going to come where you may look in the mirror and feel like you're not the prettiest anymore. And someone's going to walk right behind you who's going to be younger than you, prettier than you, have better shape than you, have a bigger physique, bigger pecs, bigger arms. It's all bullshit too. It's all external. And if we're not learning anything during this time of COVID, that right now is a good time to prioritize, what are you paying attention to? Once again, taking care of yourself is one thing, but being obsessed with yourself is another. And dwelling on shit and be like, I gotta change this, I gotta change this. When you start loving yourself and appreciating every little quirk you have and the things that you have, what happens, you start falling in love with yourself. Have you ever noticed, like, I love today because there's body positivity and there's so many people that finally cherish freckles and beautiful red hair. And years ago, I think they would pick on people with freckles, and I think freckles are adorable. I don't have freckles. I would like some freckles, I'm not gonna lie. But my point is, now we start appreciating beautiful, like when different cultures, mix, and we have beautiful people that look so exotic. And now it's exotic and sensual and beautiful. We see freckles and we're like, yay, we celebrate it. That's my point. We need to celebrate our own beautiful little quirks. I mean, you may have, I don't know, you may have this little funky thing that your brow does, or, you have a cute little mouth, like Drew Barrymore has a mouth she talks about that sometimes like makes a little, I don't know, it kind of goes down. It's the cutest thing. It's like this thing, and we all got something. I mean, I know I got something. I got like whatever I do. I got many quirks. And I think it's like when we start focusing on what makes us different, that's what will bring us joy, because we are all different. It's a beautiful thing. It's so beautiful to watch somebody embrace their beauty and embrace their difference and celebrate it. So I just want to encourage you today to celebrate and embrace the beauty within you and whatever makes you stand out from somebody else. Who needs to be basic? There's some, that word basic, I didn't know what basic was until a couple of years ago. One of my nieces was like, oh, basic Aunt Rosie's, everybody looks the same. They got the same hair, do the same this or that. I'm like, oh. I mean, at my age, we didn't have that basic, but I'm sure I've been basic too. And it's fine if you want to be basic, but at this point, why not celebrate the unique characteristics that you have? Whether it's your hair does something funny. I have cowlicks, those little things. And that's what it is. I've had it since I was born. Who cares? I have this thing that when I cry and get really upset, it gets like a little strawberry here. It's a strawberry. It is what it is. So my thing is, let's celebrate the differences we have. Let's embrace it, and let's just be loving ourselves and be like, you know what? This is what makes me different. And the more you look in the mirror and love yourself and look at yourself with eyes of love and say to yourself, I am different, and I love that about me. I love my freckles. I love the beauty mark here. I love the way my nose does this. Who cares? Whatever it's doing, embrace it and love it, and keep loving on yourself, because that's, my friends, what true beauty is owning who you are, walking out in your authenticity and loving every aspect about yourself. And I didn't know that was going to be what this whole lesson's going to be about, but I'm going to encourage you to really look at your face, your body, and appreciate the beautiful parts of you. For me, I have issues with my body because I was told at 10 years old you got to lose 10 pounds for show business. So I deal with that, and it doesn't make a difference. Like, I'm a curvy girl, and there's nothing wrong with being curvy. I'm a curvy woman. I'm built like an hourglass. And you know what happens is we've been told in social media, you all got to be this skinny. And if you're this skinny, that's fine too. But curves are now being appreciated. And like, that's the point. It doesn't make a difference whether you're an apple shape, a pear shape. They even now make us a freaking fruit shape, right? You're an apple, you're a pear, you're a this. Who cares? Love who you are. So the challenge is for you to love who you are and me to love who I am, to look in the mirror every day and look at us and be like, hey, you know what? I love you. I love you. You're fabulous. You're beautiful as is. And no one looks like you, thank God, unless you got a twin, but there's always differences in twins. No one looks like you, and no one will ever look like you. Not even your offspring are going to look exactly like you, my friend. You know that. So let's start loving on ourselves. And lastly, I'm just going to touch on the fact that, you know what? Good always trumps evil. That's all I'm going to say. It does. And I know you're thinking maybe not right now, but I don't want to go on that because we're always talking about that. But everybody got their just dessert. That evil bitch did end up dying. She got the shoes put on her. Snow White didn't forget. You see, they didn't see that Snow White. I mean, Snow White knew her mother was coming, right? The step monster was coming. Snow White told the king's son, that bitch step monster who tried to kill me, someone had to alert her. Hello? So, hello. She got her end in the end. She got her due. So we all get what we deserve. But the thing is, I'm going to end on a happy note, challenging you to look in the mirror and love yourself as is, because you are enough. You are worthy. You're beautiful. And start appreciating all the things that make you different. Please, let's stand up and know that we are unique beings of light and we are here to shine. So shine that motherfucking light like no other wild person can. And you be like a diamond in the sky. Shine bright like a diamond. I love that song. Anyway, with that being said, I wish you well. I wish you a most magical day, sending you love and light and blessings. And I know right here, right now, that you are enough. You are worthy. You are loved, and someone is thinking about you right now. They are. And until we read again. Yeah. Da 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 da.